I need you to understand something before I tell you what happened. I was not a superstitious man. I was a Union quartermaster. Ledgers, manifests, numbers, that was my world. I believed in what I could count, weigh, and sign for. And I am telling you this because what happened on that road in October of 1863 cannot be counted, weighed, or signed for. It simply cannot. My name is Samuel Pratt. I was 31 years old when they gave me the assignment. A gold transport, 12 wagons, armed escort of 47 men. The shipment was moving from a federal depositor outside of St. Louis down to a garrison in southern Missouri that needed funding for winter operations. Routine, or it should have been. The road we were taking was called the Jasper Pike. You probably never heard of it. Most people have not. It was a supply road, military use mostly, cut straight through flat country for about 9 miles between 2 relay stations. And when I say straight, I mean straight. You could stand at one end and see the other. No curves, no forks, no crossroads, just a flat dirt road through open grassland, with a tree line maybe a quarter-mile off on either side. 9 miles of nothing. That is important. Remember that. 9 miles of absolutely nothing. We left the St. Louis depository at dawn on October the 4th. I remember because the requisition form is burned into my mind. I wrote it myself. 12 wagons, 47 armed men, 6 teamsters, 3 officers, including myself. The gold was in iron-banded crates, 4 per wagon, 48 crates total. Each crate weighed roughly 110 pounds. I know because I watched every single one get loaded. The first 2 days were uneventful. We moved at standard pace, about 15 miles a day, camping at established points. The weather was cool, overcast, typical Missouri October. The men were in decent spirits. There was talk of the war, of course. Always talk of the war. Vicksburg had fallen that summer. Gettysburg. People were starting to believe it might end soon. Some of the younger soldiers were almost cheerful. We reached the northern entrance of the Jasper Pike on the morning of the 16th. I remember Sergeant Dolan riding up alongside my horse and pointing down the road. "Straight shot, sir," he said. "We'll be at the southern relay by sundown, easy." I looked down that road. 9 miles. Flat, open, clear as day. I could see the tree lines on both sides, the grass moving in the wind, and way off in the distance, what I assumed was the southern relay station. Just a dark shape on the horizon. "Let us move," I said. We entered the Jasper Pike at approximately 7:30 in the morning. I noted it in my log. I was meticulous about my log. 7:30, October 16th, 1863. Northern entrance, weather clear, visibility excellent. Now here is where I need you to pay attention, because everything I am about to tell you, I have gone over 1,000 times in my mind, and it still does not make sense. We rode for about 2 hours, normal pace. The wagons creaking, the horses steady, the men talking in low voices, nothing unusual. I checked my pocket watch at 9:30 and estimated we'd covered maybe 4 miles, right on schedule. The southern relay station should have been about 5 miles ahead. I looked up the road and I saw it. The dark shape on the horizon. The relay station, It was no closer than when we would started. I did not think much of it at first. Distances on flat ground are deceiving. Everyone knows that. You think something's close, and it is actually miles away, or vice versa. I told myself it was just the light playing tricks. We kept moving. Another hour passed. I checked the watch again. 10:30. We would been on the pike for 3 hours. At our pace, we should have covered 6 miles, maybe 6.5. The southern relay should have been less than 3 miles ahead. I looked up. The dark shape had not moved. If anything, it looked further away. I called a brief halt. Told the men the horses needed water. They did, but that was not why I stopped. I rode forward, alone about 100 yards past a lead wagon, and I turned around and looked back. I could still see the northern entrance, clear as anything. It looked about 2 miles behind us. That was wrong. We would been riding for 3 hours. There was no way we would only cover 2 miles. The horses were moving at standard pace. I could feel them moving. I would watch the ground pass beneath us, but there it was, the northern entrance, barely 2 miles back, the southern relay, 7 miles ahead, like we would barely moved at all. I did not say anything to the men. What would I say? Gentlemen, I believe the road is longer than it should be. They would think their quartermaster had lost his mind, and maybe I had. I told myself it was the light, the flat terrain, my own fatigue. We pressed on. By noon, something else was wrong. The sun. It was directly overhead, which was correct for midday, but the shadows on the ground were wrong. The wagon's shadows were pointing northeast. In October, in Missouri, at noon, shadows should be short and pointing almost due north. Northeast was wrong. It was a small thing. The kind of thing most people would not notice, but I noticed, because numbers and measurements were my entire life. I did not say anything about that either. At 1 o'clock, Corporal Jennings rode up to me. Young kid, maybe freckles, and a nervous way of chewing his lip. "Sir," he said, "how far to the relay?" "Few more miles," I told him. "Sir, begging your pardon, but we have been on this road since morning. Should not we be there by now? Distances are deceiving on flat ground, Corporal." He nodded, but he did not look convinced, and he was right not to be. By 2 o'clock, the mood had changed. The talking had stopped. The men were quiet, not the easy quiet of tired soldiers, the tight quiet of men who know something is wrong, but cannot name it. I saw them looking ahead, then looking back. Ahead. Back. The northern entrance was still visible behind us. The southern relay was still a dark smudge ahead. We were trapped in the middle of a 9-mile road that would not end. That is when Sergeant Dolan rode up again. Dolan was not a nervous man. He would fought at Shiloh. He would seen things that would break most people. But when he pulled alongside me, his face was gray. "Sir," he said quietly, so the men would not hear, "I have been counting paces. My horse, sir. I know his stride. I have measured it 100 times. And we have covered 19 miles since we entered this road, sir." I stared at him. 19 miles, he repeated, "on a 9-mile road, and we are still on it." I looked ahead. The relay station, still there. Still far away, still exactly where it had been hours ago. I looked behind us. The northern entrance, still there, still visible, still exactly 2 miles back. "Do not tell the men," I said. "Sir, I think some of them already know." He was right. Private Alderman was the first to say it out loud. Big man, steady, not the type to panic. He stopped his horse in the middle of the column and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "This road is not right." Nobody argued with him. Nobody laughed. They all knew. I made the decision to stop. It was around 3 in the afternoon. We would been on the Jasper Pike for nearly 8 hours. We should have crossed it 4 times over. I ordered the men to set camp right there on the road. There was some flat ground to the east, toward the tree line, and I sent a detail of 5 men to scout it for a campsite. They rode east, toward the trees. We watched them go, a 1/4 mile, maybe less. They reached the tree line and disappeared into the shadows. They did not come back. We waited an hour, then I sent another detail. 4 men this time. They rode toward the same tree line, same direction, same distance. They reached the edge of the trees. They did not come back either. That is when the fear hit, not gradually, all at once, like a wave. I could feel it roll through the column. 47 men, minus the 9 I was just sent into those trees, and every single one of them was afraid. I was afraid, and I made a decision that I will regret for the rest of my natural life. I said we would not send anyone else toward the trees. We would stay on the road. We would keep moving south. We would reach that relay station. We started moving again at 5 o'clock. The sun was getting low. The shadows were stretching long across the grass, and they were still pointing the wrong direction. I want to tell you about the sound, because around 5:30, as the light started to go golden and soft, the way it does in autumn, I heard something. It came from the west, from the tree line on the other side of the road. It was faint at first, like humming. No, not humming, more like a vibration, like if you put your ear to a telegraph wire and heard the current moving through it, a low, steady tone that you felt in your teeth more than heard with your ears. The horses heard it too. They started getting agitated, pulling at their reins, sidestepping, tossing their heads. The mules pulling the wagons were worse. One of them just stopped, planted its hooves and would not move. The teamster whipped it. Nothing. The mule stood there, ears flat, trembling. The sound grew louder. Not much, just enough that I could tell it was getting closer, coming from the western tree line, moving toward us, but I could not see anything. Just the trees, dark now with the sun behind them, and the grass moving in a wind I could not feel. Wait, that is not right. There was no wind. The air was completely still, but the grass was moving, rippling, like something was pushing through it toward the road. Keep moving, I shouted. We moved, faster now. The wagons were rattling, the horses half-trotting. The men were looking west, rifles up, but there was nothing to aim at, just the grass, rippling closer, and that sound, that low, awful vibration getting stronger. I do not know how to describe what happened next, because I am not sure I understood it then, and I do not understand it now. The road moved. I know how that sounds, but it moved. The dirt beneath us shifted, not like an earthquake, not like the ground was shaking. It was more like the road itself was a living thing, and it turned just slightly, just a few degrees, and suddenly we were not heading south anymore. We were heading west, toward the tree line, toward the sound. "Hard left," I screamed. "Turn the wagons, turn them now." The teamsters tried. God help them, they tried. But the road kept turning. It was pulling us, like a current in a river. The wagons were rolling straight, but the straight had changed direction. South was west now, or west was south. I could not tell. My compass was spinning, just spinning, the needle going round and round, like a clock hand. And then the first wagon went off the road. It did not crash. It did not tip over. It just rolled off the edge of the packed dirt and into the grass, and it kept going toward the trees. The teamster was pulling the reins so hard, his hands were raw, but the mules just walked, steady, calm, like they knew exactly where they were going, like they would always been going there. The second wagon followed, then the third. One by one, the wagons peeled off the road and rolled through the grass toward the western tree line. The men tried to stop them, grabbed the wheels, pulled the mules, stood in front of them. The wagons went around them, through them, like the men were not even there. I watched 6 wagons disappear into those trees. 6 wagons, 24 crates, and the teamsters sitting on the bench seats with their eyes wide and their mouths open and their hands still on the reins, as if any of it mattered. The remaining 6 wagons stopped, just stopped. In the middle of the road, the mules stood perfectly still. The vibrations stopped. The grass stopped moving. Everything was quiet. Perfectly, horribly quiet. I sat on my horse in the dying light, and I counted. I had 32 men left, 6 wagons, and a road that went nowhere in both directions. That night was the worst night of my life. We stayed on the road, did not step off it, did not go near either tree line. Built fires from the wood in the wagon beds. The men sat in tight circles, and nobody spoke much, except in whispers. I tried to write in my logbook. My hands were steady enough, but the words kept coming out wrong. I would write October 16th, and look down, and the page said October 9th. I would scratch it out and write it again. 16th, look down. 9th. I closed the book. Some things do not want to be recorded, I suppose. Private Mercer, a quiet boy from Ohio, who never said much, walked up to me and asked something strange. He said, "Sir, do you remember how we got here?" I told him of course I did. We rode in from the north entrance that morning. He shook his head. "No, sir," he said. "I mean, do you remember why? Why we are carrying gold down a road nobody uses, to a garrison nobody talks about?" I opened my mouth to answer, and I realized I did not remember. The orders. I had the requisition form. I would written it myself, but I could not remember who had given me the order, who had told me to take the Jasper Pike specifically. That detail was just gone, like a hole in my memory, shaped exactly like the answer. At some point during the night, I do not know when because my watch had stopped, I heard voices from the western tree line. not shouting, not screaming, talking. Conversational, like men sitting around a campfire, telling stories. I recognized some of them: Corporal Jennings, Private Alderman. The voices of the 9 men I would send into the eastern tree line. But they were coming from the west. They were saying things I could not quite make out, fragments, like hearing a conversation through a wall. But one thing came through clearly, a voice that sounded like Dolan, except Dolan was sitting right next to me, and the voice said, "The road goes where it wants to go, sir. Always has." Dolan heard it too. I saw his face in the firelight. He did not say a word, just pulled his coat tighter and stared at the flames. I fell asleep. I should not have. I was the commanding officer, but I did. And when I woke up, the sun was coming up in the north. Not the east, the north. I stood up and looked around. The road was still there. The wagons were still there. But there were only 4 now. 2 had gone in the night, silently, along with 11 men. No tracks, no sign, just gone. And the road was shorter. I could see both entrances now, the northern and the southern, both of them. Maybe a mile apart, the 9-mile road had compressed to less than 1, and at the southern end, I could see the relay station clearly for the first time. It was real. It was there, a wooden building with a flag flying. I could see a figure standing outside it. "Move!" I shouted. "Everyone move! Now!" We ran, left the wagons, left the gold. 21 men running south on a road that was finally, mercifully ending. I could see the relay station getting closer with every step. 100 yards. 50, 20. I was the first one through. I stumbled past the boundary marker and collapsed on the ground in front of the relay station. The station master came running out. I grabbed his arm and looked behind me. 14 men came through after me. 14 out of the 56 who had entered the Jasper Pike the morning before. 7 more had vanished between the camp and the end of the road. In broad daylight, on a straight road, running, they were right behind us, and then they were not. The station master said something I will never forget. He looked at me, at the 14 men gasping and wild-eyed behind me, and he said, "How many did you start with?" Not. What happened? Not. Are you all right? How many did you start with? Like he already knew. Like this had happened before. I told him. 56 men, 12 wagons, 48 crates of Union gold. He nodded slowly and said, "The Pike took more. This time. This time." I tried to go back. The next morning I rode to the northern entrance with a detail from the garrison. We stood at the edge of the Jasper Pike and looked down the road. It was 9 miles long. Straight, flat, empty. No wagons, no horses, no men, no gold, nothing. Like we had never been there. The garrison commander told me not to file a full report. Told me to write it up as a Confederate ambush. Guerrilla raiders. Something that made sense. Something that could be put in a ledger and signed for. I wrote the report. Confederate irregulars. Ambush at night. Lost 42 men. And 12 wagons. A tragedy of war. That is what the official record says. That is what the War Department filed. And for 60 years, that is the story everyone believed. But I kept my own log, the real one, dated and detailed. Everything I saw, everything I heard, everything that cannot be explained by Confederate raiders or guerrilla ambush or any rational thing that happens in a world that makes sense. I am telling you this now because I am 91 years old and I do not have much time left, and someone needs to know. The Jasper Pike is not on any modern maps. I checked. The road was decommissioned after the war, overgrown, forgotten, but I went back once, in 1887, 24 years later. I stood at what I thought was the northern entrance, and I looked down into that flat country. The grass was tall, no road visible, just open land. But I heard it, that vibration, that low hum, like a current through a wire, coming from the west, and the grass moved. In perfectly still air, I left, I ran, if I am being honest, an old man running from a field in Missouri. Last month, a surveyor from the railroad company came to see me. He would found my name in old military records. He wanted to know about the Jasper Pike, because his company was planning to lay track through that stretch of country. I told him everything. He listened patiently, smiled politely, told me old soldiers sometimes confuse memories with nightmares. He left for Missouri 3 weeks ago with a team of 12 surveyors. I received a telegram last Tuesday from the railroad company. They asked if I knew the last known location of the survey team. 12 men sent down a straight road through flat country. They've not been heard from since. I pulled out my old military map, the one from 1863. I would kept it all these years, and I noticed something I swear was not there before. Someone had drawn a line on the map, a thin pencil line running along the Jasper Pike. And at both ends of the line, in handwriting that was not mine, but looked like mine, were the same 2 words, no exit. The road takes what it wants. It always has. And I sit here in my room in Philadelphia with my logbook open on the desk. And I listen, because some nights late, when the city is quiet, I hear it. That vibration, that hum, getting closer. Like the road remembers that I got away. Like it is being patient. Like it is finally found me. I tried to leave Philadelphia last week, packed a bag, went to the train station, bought a ticket for New York, sat in my seat, fell asleep. When I woke up, the conductor was shaking my shoulder. "End of the line, sir," he said. I looked out the window. Flat country, grassland, a tree line, a quarter-mile off on either side. The sign on the platform said Jasper Junction. I have never heard of Jasper Junction. It is not on any map I have ever seen. I took the next train back. I hope. My compass is on the desk next to the logbook. The needle has been pointing west for 3 days now. It does not move, just west, steady, certain. I think I know what that means.